Welcome to the Old-Fashioned Three. They've been around basketball from the Big Dipper to the Greek Freak, from Russell Celtics to Curry's Warriors, from Peach Baskets to Paolo Banchero. Here are Whitey Gleason, Phantom, and Jerry Reynolds.
Yes, that was that cat, all right.
Are the Denver Nuggets the team to beat, Mr. Basketball? Jerry Reynolds? The Denver Nuggets? Are the Denver Nuggets the team to beat?
The surprisingly entertaining Denver Nuggets, the only underrated one seed of all time, the ones that everybody said, okay, I think it's going to be Kevin Durant, I think it's going to be Steph, or the Lakers, or comes out. Then you watch them play and go, these guys are pretty good. And they play.
You don't watch them play much, do you?
I don't check them out very often at all. But because I thought they would be kind of boring because they got old Shlobo in the middle there, and he's just running the show. But they are very entertaining, and they are very good. And the fact that they are done now, and they're waiting, and they're thousands and thousands of feet above sea level, I think it bodes pretty not poorly for the rest of the Western Conference.
I agree. I mean, the question, are they the team to beat? They are in the Western Conference now. That's
sure.
Yes. For sure. But, yeah, I mean, you start with, talent. They're very talented. They've got the best player in the West. They've got as good a coach as anybody in Michael Malone.
Is it maybe a little disrespectful that he just referred to him as Shlobo, a guy who could have been the MVP the third year in a row? I think he should have been.
No,
and
he didn't.
Mr. Basketball called him
up the last
Shlobo.
He phoned in the last month.
That is very disrespectful.
I thought so.
I mean,
it's a term of respect in his home country. Come on, whatever that is.
I'll say one thing for him. I mean, he may not be the quickest guy in the world, but his stamina is amazing.
Probably has to be playing
people
altitude,
always,
right?
they always come up with some, people looking to criticize guys. Well, he's not very fast. He's fast enough. He's fast enough. He changes ends of the floor as well as better than Embiid does by far.
Yeah. Very impressive on the offensive boards the way he follows his own shot. Not a Moses Malone kind of way.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he's like shoots an 8-footer or whatever and misses it, and he's right back there getting the rebound and putting it back in. So, underrated, the foot speed around the hoop.
Yeah. Well, you can try. You can
No, his name is Shlobo. I mean, I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying he's a little bit underrated. That's all as far as the speed is concerned.
I heard Quentin Richardson today, and he was talking about Jokic. I've never heard a basketball player described this way, you probably have, but Quentin Richardson said he will throw you open. He will throw a pass to a guy, and the pass will open. You hear that in football all the time.
Peyton Manning.
Yeah, but I've never heard a basketball player described that way, and I think he does.
I do too. I mean, you see guys cutting, and really the defender's right there with him, but he'll just throw it over the left shoulder or whatever. Kind of like the great quarterbacks do. Just all you got to do is he has to catch it, but the other defenders, I mean, he's trying to stay with him and look back, and the ball's right in the guy's hand. He's amazing. I mean, it's like Kevin Durant said afterwards. He's one of the best centers in the history of the game. Well, yes, he is.
Yes,
he is.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's kind of a soccer thing too, as far as throwing people over. I mean, if you watch the beautiful game, you see sometimes they'll pass it to a spot.
He doesn't watch the Nuggets, so he has to.
They'll pass to a spot and not a player, and that's what happens.
Call.
That's what happens with Jokic. He'll pass it to a spot because he knows the player will be there.
Huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you think? I think the Nuggets and the Celtics. If I had to pick right now, I'm saying there's your NBA.
Oh, wow.
Things change so quickly.
Wow.
I know. Who knows what's going to happen? But right now, the way it looks to me is, we got the Nuggets, we got the Celtics in the finals. If I'm wrong, tell me why I'm wrong.
I can't tell you. I think that's what we have.
Yeah.
I mean, having said that, it wouldn't surprise me if it's Golden State and Philly.
Yeah.
Lakers and Philly.
I
was
really
shocked with
surprised
Philly last night, though. I mean, it's the one time I'm sitting in the back watching the game going, Harden, you need to take a couple of threes, and he all of a sudden doesn't.
Wait, you're sitting in the back
I was sitting
watching the game?
I was sitting in the back
of what?
Of the living room there because I was like, I didn't want to get too close to the TV, and so I'm sitting back a little bit there, and Harden's coming up, and I'm going, Harden, you need to get a couple of threes in there, Jimmy. And he's passing the ball. He's trying to go to the hoop. He's passing the ball to somebody else. I'm Harden. You got to go for the basket. Let's go.
If you'd have gotten closer to the TV,
I don't
would
know.
that made a difference?
Perhaps he would have shot more, I think, Jared. But they're in a situation where he's the one who needs to shoot the threes, and he's giving them up. He's not shooting, and that's not the James Harden I know and love.
Well, I heard, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I heard today that down the stretch there was Embiid that wasn't taking any shots.
Well,
They
the
were
same
like
as Game 5. He was bad at the end of Game 5.
It's like Jokic always has the ball, and he'll give it right back.
I'll get it back to
you. Down the stretch there, Joel Embiid wasn't getting the ball. And Philadelphia just looked like they gave up down the stretch, like, we're going to lose. That was what was discouraging to me.
Well, yeah, because it was a close game till the last 3 minutes, and Tatum went on his run, and credit to him, who hadn't been very good the whole game.
Yeah.
But I thought so, too, and I thought, with the Sixers, they do so much of this, basically isolation stuff, kind of like Phoenix does. And so at some point, basically, if you're going to do that, the other team easily can say, we're going to double this guy in this situation.
Exactly.
And then in those guys' cases, Embiid in particular, and Harden to some degree, they'll try to play against the double team as opposed to just moving it.
Yeah, the offense looks a little bit stagnant when they do that because they're all standing around. Then you got Maxey trying to inject a little life in there, running around a little bit, and maybe taking a shot that he shouldn't be taking.
Yeah, but
just
he's
because
good.
Nobody else will do anything.
That guy competes, though. I mean,
I like him a lot.
I like him a lot. I mean, when you look at his age and everything, I mean, like I say, he's further along in his development than Fox was at the
just
same
22,
age.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, and I know this came up during the car show, so those of you who saw that, I apologize.
I got to subscribe.
But to me, one of the things that's encouraging about these results, Denver beating Phoenix to me, and also Boston beating Philly, these are examples of teams beating collections of stars. That may be a little bit of an overstatement here or there, but I think basically you've got teams that have been together for a while, and they're beating teams that are more collections of stars. And I think that's a real encouraging note going forward for anybody who's paying attention to how to build a team properly.
The thing that's funny or good, I think, about the Phoenix situation is I think we all agree that they did what they had to do. They went out and got Durant. They rolled the dice. They got Durant. Okay, you got Chris Paul for who knows how much longer. But we also recognize when they got Durant, they gave away the elements that were going to allow them to make that long run in the playoffs because they gave away all their depth and a lot of their wing defense. And so I just think that kind of like justifies the fact that, yeah, Denver assembles their team when they're ready to go, and Phoenix takes a chance, and a chance that I think we agree they had to take, but it just doesn't work because you can't put a team together that way and gut it just to add a superstar, and it just wasn't enough.
Well, it wasn't, and I mean, you could certainly make the case had they not done the deal, they could have done every bit as well. And I mean, certainly Durant's better than Mikal Bridges, but when you really look at it going forward,
yeah, get back to me in 2 years on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
And especially for a guy Bridges who really doesn't miss any games, and Durant in the last 4 years missed a lot of games.
They call him Brooklyn Bridges. What do you think of that nickname, Phantom?
I don't mind it. I don't
Not
mind
bad,
it at all.
not bad.
I don't
mind it.
call him that, but that's what they call him.
I don't mind it at all.
Yeah.
But that just shows what happens when you get a new owner that played the game and keeps the ball away from people in the stands.
Yeah.
He's going to go for it right now. He's not going to worry about 2 years down the line.
Yeah.
Well, he isn't, but
He
I
should.
bet it's crossed his mind today.
He's like, wait, 2 years down the line, I'm probably in trouble here.
I hate to be negative.
Here we go.
Devin Booker last night. They lose. What did he have to say to the media? Nothing. He left. Devin Booker didn't even meet with the media.
Oh, there's going to be a huge fine coming his way.
Leaving it to, I guess, Durant. If Kevin Durant's going to meet with the media, Devin Booker, I love Devin Booker, but you gotta at least face the music.
That's part
right?
of being
Isn't
a pro, right?
Yes,
It really
yes.
is.
Well, especially if you really like the positive stuff that's said about you, and after great games, you're available for everybody. It's like, no, okay, you had a stinker, no question about it, and which I really respect Durant for. He said there and basically, I thought said all the right things as well as you can when you just had your butt handed to you.
Yeah.
Well, he's done it a couple more times than Devin Booker, so Booker pulls a Dylan Brooks.
Yeah.
Like, I'll talk all the time, and when I'm good, I'll be proclaiming from the rooftops, but when I'm bad, you're not going to be able to find me.
Is that why everyone now is talking about Durant to the Kings? Where did that come
Well,
from?
I think that's probably when you look at the fact that the Kings just need that one thing to push them over the top. What do you do to get from where they are now, to 55 games? Well, Kevin Durant's the answer, obviously.
Yeah, and I think Jokic would be too.
That's a great idea, but you can't. But Jerry, he's still in the playoffs, so we can't do anything with Jokic.
No, okay.
Yeah, don't be
And
silly.
we've got a center. We don't need a center. Come on, we don't need Slobo. We've got a center. But I tell you, Durant would fit right in there next to him. Oh man,
Are people?
Yeah, he would.
I'm kidding because Stones mentioned it. Is that actually a thing today
it
at
can't
all?
be a
Is
thing.
anybody anywhere actually talking
Stones
about this?
listens to some shows that no one else can hear.
Not,
and
not
that's,
for
I
me,
think-
but it has common sense. It
Okay,
isn't.
okay.
Hey,
all
wait,
right.
is that a shot at our guy?
Well,
Could
he just said
be.
he saw
Could
something
be.
on Twitter. That's
Hey,
yeah.
it could be, or
Yeah.
it could be.
Probably
just
his own tweet, but I mean,
he saw his own tweet.
retweeting himself.
This is a great idea. I'm not bad. All right.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
Phantom, the car show, by the way, real quick, got off to an odd start today.
Oh, no.
I was a little bit early to pick up Jerry. Just a little bit.
yeah,
I
he's
was
a little early. Huh?
Yeah.
8 o'clock.
No, not that early.
No, he's there about 8:10. You know,
Yeah.
so we have to.
So I-
8:15 when the show starts.
yeah.
I pulled over like half a block away. It's like I don't want to park in front of his house because it's early and I don't want him to see me and go, oh, I got to get out there. So I'm checking my phone, something about alligator lizards, and then the back door opens in the car, and I said, is that Jerry? Remember, I'm like a block and a half from his house.
On TV, it's a
and this
private
guy
aisle.
says, hey, lift. I said, I don't need one, thanks.
That's awesome. Oh, yes.
Yeah, I'm like, I got to pick somebody else. Yeah, I'm waiting for Lyft. I thought you were
Yeah,
Lyft.
give him a ride.
Well,
you can make it
that's
back.
what I realized. It's like,
you can make a couple.
Well,
of
yeah, he
bucks.
told me, it's a close call because he could have made a few bucks and
Yes,
and,
and
make,
still
you
get
know,
back to get
still
you
get back get me. We just
reasonably
wouldn't
close to
we wouldn't
time.
have had the car show,
But he would have had a couple of bucks.
Oh, you got a better offer, yeah. And
Yeah.
I said, no, but I should have. Yeah, I didn't.
Oh, you got to. You got to
didn't
see where.
play that
Hey,
very
where you
well.
going?
Yeah,
that's the
where you
thing.
need. Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. What do you
Is
need?
it local? Yeah. Can I get back here in 15 minutes?
Of course, the guy would have gotten in the car and said, "Well, it's I can't see out the windows. Let me out of here."
Well, yeah, he would have got 1 star. He would have never been able to pick anybody else up.
problem.
He should have been back in the
I'm
back.
not
going,
actually in the
What is your?
system."
Where's the water? Come on. What are we doing back here?
I'd have just driven the guy, I don't know, down
Just
the
leave him out.
block. Yeah, all right, end of the road, buddy.
Take him 2 blocks to the main street.
yeah, $5.
Pull
Let's
over.
go. Now to fix him up.
Come on. And a buck for the water.
Should have played it that way. How are the Warriors going to play it tonight? I feel that if Wiggins is really injured and he's got something with his rib, like a fractured rib cartilage, and if that impedes him in any way, I think the Warriors are in serious, serious trouble tonight, which they may be anyway. But, man, an injured Wiggins, I don't like their chances.
I don't either. Not without Wiggins. I mean, really, I think you could and should make the case he's their second best player.
Hard to argue. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
All right, I'll
mean,
go with you.
Yeah. So, to me, then they're obviously you got some guys that been there, done that, but you would have to have an all-star level game from Klay Thompson, which I don't know if you can count on that.
Maybe a big game from Poole, huh?
Yeah, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
128 million. You're
There's
not getting back.
Jordan Poole, and then there's his baffling alter ego, Gordon Toole.
Oh,
And so far
Gordy.
that's
Yeah,
who
yeah,
we've
yeah.
seen is like, who's that? That's Gordon Toole. He's really not very good.
No.
That's who we've seen in this postseason. But anyway, who knows? What did you think of Anthony Davis getting clobbered in the head, and then he's fine, he's good, he's ready to go?
I think he's going to have to pull a Willis Reed out there today.
Yeah.
Come out and do that. But I was wondering, he was disappearing even before he got hit in the head in the game before and that game. They play him in the first half and they go, come on, AD, you can do it. And AD does it in the first half. And then it's like he goes in witness protection on offense in the second half. And then he's doing a lot on the defensive end. Well, I think what makes him great when he's great is that he's great on both ends, and you need him on both ends. And when they take him out of the offensive approach, and you got LeBron doing a little bit too much dribbling out there, and Schroeder doing some weird stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, there was a play in game 4, where he had the ball in the wing, and Davis posted up, and he looked in twice and didn't give it to him, and then drove the lane and passed it out of bounds. I said, I don't know what they're doing, but Darvin needs to talk to these guys.
Well, they
I
do.
just want to know what's going on with Davis offensively second half.
I don't think he's very active. I mean, really. I mean, it's like, to me, it's like, well, most of that's, I mean, some of it's on his teammates, but most of it's on him. And to your point, and I heard the announcer saying, oh, he's doing a lot of great stuff on defense. I know he's not.
Well, he's a presence
He did
in
some.
there. Yeah.
Well,
he's blocking some shots.
Warriors shot
some.
51%.
That's
So-
in game 5.
That's in the
Right.
last. Yeah, the Warriors shot
Yeah.
51%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that the game we're talking about?
Well, I mean, I was talking about game 4 and 5, but I mean, yeah, that's true. Yeah, the Warriors came out and beat him in game 5. Not surprising there, but I just think that he has got to be, and you're right, Jer. Obviously, if he takes himself out of the play, he's got to insinuate himself more in there. But it does, even with LeBron, the highest IQ of all time, I'm told, he was dribbling around in circles a little bit in that game on
he
game
was.
5. And
No, I thought he
I didn't
was,
think
too.
that was a good approach.
the thing that probably hurt the Lakers the most was LeBron hitting those 3 threes early on. and and then he kind of put himself as the lead ball handler from that point on. And I think where they've been good is where LeBron's off the ball more, where he can get a live dribble. But if he's got to just initiate everything, I mean, other than bullying his way to the basket,
Exactly.
you don't see a lot of dribble penetration and finding guys from him anymore.
Yeah, and sometimes he takes the Steph 3. The Trae Young 3, and it just when it doesn't go, it just doesn't look.
Yeah.
LeBron, don't do that. Come on.
Yeah.
You're 38, man. Don't do that.
Now you mentioned Game 4. I don't know. I think it's hilarious about the end of Game 4, the play that the Warriors ran. I didn't know.
Oh, okay.
The hammer. Mm-hmm. That's the name of that play, where basically inbound to Draymond comes down the right side of the floor, and then on the other side, Wiggins sets a screen up top for Clay, who runs to the corner. So Draymond's supposed to throw it into the corner, or throw it to the Wiggins after he sets the screen. And the Lakers snuffed it out. The Lakers smelled it out, and there was nowhere for him to throw it, and he threw it away. Do you know why it's called the Hammer?
Because it's named after Hank Aaron?
No, it's named after
MC Hammer.
Don't tell me. No.
Darvin Ham.
Oh.
Because Darvin Ham years ago,
so they didn't think he'd fit out.
Well, that's the thing.
Hey man, that's my play.
Darvin Ham, and I didn't know this till a couple days ago. Darvin Ham was playing for the Bucks, and he's told the story. You can find it on YouTube. Darvin Ham says, George Karl ran in this play where I'm supposed to take it down to the baseline and then throw it to Ray Allen in the corner, and he said, this is the Hammer. We're naming it after you. So they ran the play,
that is awesome.
The Hammer, against the team coached by the guy for whom the play is
by the
named.
Hammer. Well, the thing that I thought was interesting about that play too was it looked like Draymond was so used to both players going toward Steph on the handoff, he thought he was going to be able to drive to the basket and get an easy 2, but the Lakers defender stayed right with him. And I think even if he was able to try to throw that pass, even if the guy in the corner was open, it would have been a very difficult pass because the defender did a fantastic job of staying with him the whole time and really spoiled the play.
It was very well defended.
Yeah, it really was. I wonder why. I wonder why. Hey, they're probably trying my play. What do you think that the Lakers?
I should be able to defend my own play.
They're in the huddle. He's going, listen, they're gonna call my play.
They're gonna run the
Come on, coach.
Yeah.
They're gonna run the what?
But I don't know if that was a factor or not. But if you saw it, I mean, LeBron did. He knew just what they were doing, and he pointed to AD. You go there, and then Draymond had nowhere to throw the ball, and he practically ran out of bounds.
Yeah, it was almost out of bounds.
So anyway, that was one I think the Warriors kicked away. But tonight without Wiggins, gonna be really tough. This could be the end of the Dub dynasty as we know it.
Could be. I mean, could be. They've got a lot of issues, and it's also true it may not be, and they win and get it back. I mean, it's been that kind of series. You just can't count on it, but certainly they're closer to the end than the start, that's for sure. And by the way, I was just thinking that we talk about play. I always remember us coaching against the San Antonio Spurs, and I had a play on made free throws to where Otis Thorpe was power forward, and anyway, our guards would be at midcourt, and as soon as the made free throw, a guy would take it inbounds, and the guards would come up. One of them would come up and screen Thorpe's man, and he'd go down, and we'd get a dunk. Well, anyway,
that's a good play.
It was a good play.
Your idea?
Yeah,
that's
we
good
did
stuff.
that. We'd get a bucket a game on it. And anyway, all of a sudden, I just noticed San Antonio, they basically did the same thing to us. And their power forward had a dunk. And I looked, and I said, that's our play. I looked down there, Bobby White saying,
He did the Jerry.
He did the Jerry. You couldn't help it. It's like I was so pissed. I said, that's our play. And Weiss was just busting my chops. I thought that's pretty good.
That's a great play because that's that old thing.
I love the
play. You can't score a fast break after a made basket, and that's basically what you guys did. Right?
And the reason it works is because, generally speaking, the guard is going to go with the defensive guard is going to go with the guard, and then once that screen's set, if they don't switch, and if you don't know it's coming, it's especially a real fast power guy like Thorpe was.
What do you call that play? Or what did you call it?
I don't remember. I think we had a signal for it. I think it was just thumbs up or something like that.
I call it the Thorpe.
Yeah.
I go with Oda. I love
it didn't work near as well with Oberding, put it that way.
I mean, like, okay, go.
It's not a reflection on you. That's
5 seconds.
It's the it's a personnel kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's not the coaching.
Well, I say, it always comes down to talent. When
I don't
you
know
really
if I would have called it as often with Oberding.
Huh?
I don't think I would have called it as often.
I don't think we did.
I don't think
dumb as I may have been, no, I don't think I did, to be honest with you.
Yeah, at the risk of getting lost in the weeds, Have you guys ever seen that call? Speaking of 5 seconds, that 5-second call on LeBron back to the basket. Have you ever
Been a long time.
No.
It's
I've
almost
heard of that, I think, but I don't think I've ever seen
well.
it
It's,
in the NBA.
I mean, they put it in, because of Barkley.
Yeah.
That's a Barkley rule to where he would just get
The
the
back
ball.
end rule, yeah.
And just back guys spend 15 seconds beating them up, going backwards.
That was basketball.
Oh,
Yeah.
basketball back then.
That was a
Wasn't
fantastic-
there some 5 seconds unguarded rule in college basketball, but that's like a different rule?
Yeah, but it's still, there still is. Yeah.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you have the ball within, you have to be over a certain part in the court. If you're there and you're being guarded, then you have to get rid of the
Well,
ball.
that's like a stupid rule that the NBA had for years, with bigs. You had, like, for instance, like Mark Eaton would go stand above the three-point line. And you had to sign a man in his area. So he had to be at least at the elbow up. In other words, so you're making me basically take a defender to guard somebody who has no intentions and no ability to score from there. As opposed to where, you just drop him back if you could. But that was Don Nelson rule, because Don always outsmarted, controlled the rules committee. And
Way ahead of
it took,
everybody.
I was going to say, it took about 10. I used to say, why do you guys vote with Fernelli? Don't you know he's just screwing you?
He doesn't even care. He's just out there having fun.
I
Yeah.
thought you dominated the rules committee when you were on there and you told Stern what was what.
I thought there was a chance until then. And then I had a come to Jesus moment right after. And I just take my little clipboard in there and just and what it said, let's have a vote, coaches and the GMs. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Which way are you going, sir? Yes, thank you.
And what do you want us
Yes,
to do?
Yes, Mr. Commissioner, sir. Yes.
Speaking of votes, Mark Jackson needs to be stripped of his MVP vote. Am I right?
He made a mistake.
Am I right?
He made a mistake. Yes, he does.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unanimous.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unanimously, yes, he does.
He did
Leaving-
not have Jokic on his MVP ballot because he went positionally.
Well,
Or-
it sounds like he was voting for the All-NBA team while he was voting for the most
Uh-huh,
valuable player.
uh-huh.
He thought he was voting for the wrong thing, which is the reason to strip him, because if you don't know what you're voting for.
I agree.
I mean, he's like, well, I had a center and two forward. What are you talking about?
Right.
What exactly are you talking about? You left Shlomo off.
Yeah,
Slow-mo. He won't leave it alone, will he?
he will have to eventually.
I think I will.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
That's
think I
gonna.
will.
I think that's gonna work.
If the
against him, but
commissioner
we'll
tells
see.
me to, I will, Jeff.
We'll
Yeah,
see.
okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
well, you don't have to worry about this commissioner. You don't have any problems.
Yeah, this guy will let me do whatever I want.
Yeah. You,
That was that's very unfortunate that Jokic. I don't know if it probably wouldn't have made a difference.
Wouldn't have
right?
mattered, I don't
But
think.
I'm still mad. I think Jokic was the MVP, but I think some voters looked at it and said, "Well, he would be 3 years in a row MVP, and he's not that good, so I'm not voting for him." And that's a ridiculous.
yeah, it
reason.
is ridiculous. I mean, I will say, I'm not sure he should have got it. He had more of a reason to have it this year than the other two.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's the way it happens sometime. You just couldn't give it to Kareem every year or Jordan every year.
Or LeBron. Yeah, I remember talking
yeah,
to
yeah.
Lionel Hollins one time, and we were talking about the MVP. This was around 2015. He goes, "LeBron's the best player every year. We just can't give it to him every year." So Anyway.
I think there was a period of 7-8 years where pretty much I thought like Kareem could have been, from his early.
From about 69 to about 79.
Yeah.
I wish we could show this.
This is
Stone's
fantastic.
just trying to get
Coco
out the door.
Yeah.
What did Coco? Why?
Yeah.
How come Coco got
Coco
banned?
was getting a little antsy.
Oh,
He was
okay.
moving around a little bit, and then Coco does that. Usually, Coco. I don't want to call Coco out, but she's been known to fill the air, if I may say. it.
Oh,
You,
like
you
that.
may say, yeah.
Fragrant too?
Yeah, and I think exactly. Yeah, and I get 2 shots and the ball. The thing
Oh,
about Jokic,
boy.
it did seem like he did kind of sit out a lot more in the last month of the
Coco?
season. Coco Jokic.
Jokic,
Coco, which is his new name, Coco Jokic. He did sit out, and he didn't play in that matchup against Embiid late in the season. He stayed out of that game, and
Okay.
that has something to
Yeah.
do because Embiid dominated the first time they played, and then. He didn't play in the game, and he didn't play in several games down the stretch. He didn't need to, and I understand why. Obviously, he didn't care. So, I mean, he's doing what's best for the team. But if you're just going to evaluate on basis of a complete season, then Embiid played all the way to the end of the season, and Jokic didn't.
Yeah. The other thing is, unfortunately, the regular season doesn't matter as much as it used to, and therefore, some of the regular season awards, in my opinion, don't mean as much as they used to.
Yeah, well, it's something I think they're on the right track of requiring guys to play 65 games in
65
order to
games.
be on get any of the awards, and I certainly agree with that. And certainly guys that are on the. I think a couple of guys are on those top 3 NBA teams that probably wouldn't.
Five of them didn't qualify. If
Yeah,
it was 65.
well, that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't. I just think that's something that has to happen if you're going to be a regular season award. Then play most of the regular season.
I don't like the positionless thing though.
I don't either. No.
Oh yeah,
We've been
All
going
league teams
since
next year.
19 whatever with the center and 2 forwards and 2 guards. I think we can stick
Yeah,
with that.
it has.
If you have two good centers.
I
they
don't
used to
see
do
any
that.
damage over those years of doing it that way.
I'm not even entirely sure why they're doing it.
I think the Jokic and Embiid thing sparked people. Well, you can't have they're 2 of the 5 best players. They've got to be all NBA. They've got to be first team. But, but back in the day, there were
you
2
have to be
pretty
the-
good centers at the same
You have to
time.
be the best
for-
at your position. I mean,
was-
that's
yeah, that's
Well, there
what I
was
think.
2 centers in the 60s that were pretty good, and they kind of went at it.
Well,
each year.
they-
And they managed to put one of them in first team and one of them second each time.
Well,
and it worked out.
it's always that way. I mean, Shaq and Elijah Wan.
Yes.
I mean, David Robinson.
Ewing
was,
is in there, yeah.
Ewing and yeah. So you've always had that throughout history, where there's been, 2 or 3 great centers and bigs, and you got to rate them.
And sometimes
Doesn't
there's
mean
3
it's-
great forwards. Yeah,
And it may change from year to year. I don't.
don't call it the all league first team. Then call it 5 best players.
5 best.
Yeah,
And then
that's-
next 5. And
Yeah,
then third
there you
5.
go.
There we
But
go.
it's-
We're done.
Yeah, I don't know. It's unfortunate. I think we all agree.
I
with
like
that.
the
But
65
Bottom line
like
is, I don't
yours.
think anybody really cares.
I like the 65 games. I agree
Yeah.
with you. That's only that they're on the right track there.
But I think they do really care because it's tied into so many contracts. If they make it like Jaylen Brown gets second team, now he's eligible for what, $270? So they're going to be liable for $600 million to 2 guys, and I don't know how that works out. I don't have that kind of coin, but
Yeah, I
mean,
just wonder. I mean, they could eventually be like the Warriors, just
Yes.
really hamstrung. I mean, not to that level the Warriors are, but I mean, I don't care how rich you are, you don't want to be paying $450 million in
extra,
salaries.
Right. You have to go over and above on the tax and everything.
Yeah, tough to make a profit when you're.
Very tough.
Yeah.
Unless you sell the franchise, that's the only way they. So-
Yeah,
And
you're
you
all
always
gonna
have
do
that in
eventually,
your
right?
pocket. Yeah, you
Yeah.
know, at the end, if I ever want to sell, I'm going to make a lot of
Well,
money.
yeah, I mean, when they bought
But
the Warriors for $400 or $500 million, I think at the time they bought them, well, they're probably worth $5 billion now, the going rate. So
Yeah.
10 or 12
so
times
you'd
that.
make a dime or two, even if you've lost a $50 million or $100 million
Yeah.
along the way.
Yeah, you're going to
You're
recoup
gonna-
it.
you're gonna
but
come
then
out okay.
Then you're out of the game, though, and a lot of those guys like to be in the game. So that's why, yeah.
Absolutely.
This is we're getting ahead of ourselves because we don't know what's going to happen with the Warriors. They could go on and win a championship. If they don't win tonight, do you break them up? And as we stand right now, do you break up the Suns, the Phoenix
Ooh.
Suns?
I don't know
I don't know
how
about
you
the Suns. How do you break up the Suns?
how do you break up the Suns. The only thing I'd see is there'd be some
Chris Paul, maybe?
push. Well, making a decision. He's got a couple-year contract. I don't know just exactly what you get if you trade
Yeah,
him.
he's getting to be our age, Jared. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, really. I mean, if you're a team that's looking for a point guard,
Yeah,
you're
he's-
thinking, "Hey, we can get Chris Paul for 2
You're
years,
right.
$60 million contract." It's like
If they offered a senior discount, maybe somebody would take him.
2 years for him. That means what? 50 games
It's a
total.
life
Yeah.
sentence, yeah.
it's or 60 during the regular season and none in the
Yeah,
playoffs.
yeah,
A
yeah.
total of 60.
And,
you pick
you
where you
get
get
60.
I don't
yeah.
even think with him it's not a matter of him being soft or whatever.
No,
it's
it's
just
just-
his body
yeah,
breaks
yeah,
down.
sure.
Played a
every
lot
year.
of basketball.
That's been
Yeah.
happening for years, and it's silly if you don't realize that. So why would you
Yeah.
hitch your wagon to something?
Well,
like that?
yeah, to me, it's like the Kyle Lowry thing. You know, clearly he's been a great player, but his last year or so in Toronto, he wasn't that level. And then Miami picked him up, hoping that he could. And he's had moments.
Momentary,
But it's but I mean he's not
Mm-hmm.
the same guy, and you're
Right.
paying for a star.
Yeah.
and he's not. He's a player, and I think that's where Chris Paul's heading. And so there again, it's like, yeah, he can play and he could help us some, but at $30 million for 2 years, and my answer would be, no, don't do that.
Their
Don't do
chance
that.
was when they were in the finals against the Bucks. Was that
Yeah.
3 years ago? And then he got hurt again. I think
Right.
he hurt his wrist or something. They ended up losing, taking nothing away from the Bucks. But that was the Suns' chance to win a championship.
No, that yeah, and then then the next year, 64 wins, and then Dallas goes in there and just.
Yeah.
I always remember Doncic outscored the entire Phoenix Suns team in the first half.
Yeah.
I mean,
So the last 2 years in which the Suns have been eliminated, the last 2 games, not been pretty, Mr. Basketball.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that because we talked about it when the trade was made on this very show.
Yes,
Although the table was in a different place, and we all saw what they were doing. I think it was fair to say that we all supported what they were doing, and maybe thought they would get one more round. Although in the way things came out, they played the wrong team in the second round. But I think maybe we thought they'd get one more round, but they just were so thin. And if one of the superstars isn't super for a game, then it really hurts them. So I mean, they just we saw that a potential weakness, and it did become a weakness. In fact, it's didn't have enough guys,
They missed Ayton last night.
and they had
too.
no Ayton last
yeah,
night.
yeah, no question. They missed it, and I don't think they use him very well, but that's just another.
Yeah.
And I think there's a guy who, if they want to trade, probably can find a lot of willing partners.
I don't know. I think his stock might be a little down though,
Oh,
because, like you say, they haven't used him correctly. so he hasn't shown what he can possibly do.
I'm not saying it's not down. I don't know. I just know that he's a young big with talent, and where you gonna if you don't
Right.
get Wembanyama, how do you get somebody like
If his
that?
stock weren't down, I don't think he'd be available. And
No,
we don't know that
exactly.
he's available now, but that's why his.
That's why he's,
yeah,
I mean,
potentially
and I
available.
think part of the reason his stock down is on him. Part of it's on Phoenix. I wouldn't be hesitant at all if you're a team that needs a center. I mean, why wouldn't you try to get that guy? I don't know. I mean, I don't know how many are more talented than him. Other than Jokic and Embiid.
How would you use him differently?
Well, certainly you can play high post with him a lot. He really can shoot the 15, 18-footer, pick and pops, things like that. Well, you don't see any of that with him. I mean, they'll dump it occasionally, but I'm just saying it's the fact he's used to kind of like, well, if Booker can't get a shot or Durant get a shot, then we might, at the clock running down, we might dump it in there and hope he.
Yeah, he's
I
a
think-
last resort
last
kind of
I
guy.
think
resort.
he's better when he's playing with Chris Paul. I think
Yes.
Chris
Yeah.
Paul has a pretty keen idea of how to get the most out
Yeah, I
of
agree with that.
Ayton
Yeah,
offensively.
but
yeah.
I could see him being available, and would he get them what they want? I don't know, but
Might get him some depth though.
well, that'd be my thinking. Is like, yeah, okay, he's not quite the answer, and we got a couple of backup
Right.
guys that could play at that position, and we get another big time wing for him,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So I could see something along those lines. I think that's the tradable guy, I guess is what I'm saying.
I think they have to do something fairly significant because bringing it back again to me is like
no, because the same problems will probably
Yeah.
reemerge.
Yeah.
unless
Well,
you-
I just wonder too. I mean, really, will Monty Williams survive this? And I'm not sure James Jones, the GM, with a new owner.
with a new owner, that's what I'm thinking.
I mean, at some point,
But
it's like,
those are the guys who got you into the position you are when I came in to buy the team. So I know new owners like to bring in their own guys. Everybody does, but these guys are pretty high functioning NBA guys at those jobs.
absolutely agree. But now you're using common sense, and don't ever do that.
Well, I don't usually, Jerry, as you know.
Yeah,
So this is,
that's exactly what should happen. Leave them alone.
Yeah.
and because they've proven to be good at what they do. Now this is a downturn, but having said that, when does that ever?
It's a
into
downturn, but
play.
it's not. I mean, when you look at it, it's like, oh, Durant and Booker lost. Well, yeah, they lost to the number one seed.
Yeah.
The situation where their point guard was injured.
There
So, I
again.
mean,
Now wait a minute.
I'm doing it again.
You're
Geez.
doing it
All right.
again.
I need a buzzer or
But
something.
they were.
and I
and-
venture
and
off
you're
into
right.
common sense.
I'm not
Jerry.
disagreeing with you, but I'm trying to look at it from the viewpoint of Mr. Ishbia. So, okay, they were in the finals. They almost won a championship. Then they had the best record in the league, and they collapsed. And now they're the 4 seed. So, I don't like the way this is trending.
Yeah, there's a trend.
Right. Yeah,
There's a
yeah.
trend.
But they
Yeah.
were only a 4 seed, I think, because Durant didn't play enough games when he came over, and you're not going to do anything about Durant. So what are you going to do that's going to change that?
Well, you probably can't do hardly anything. That's why.
That's why you go ahead and you shop Aiden. Or no, that's
No.
why you replay. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
You can't do anything with the players. I need a new coach and a new general manager.
Well, it's it's no
I
different
see,
than
Jer.
it's no different than Frank Vogel, who won a championship with the Lakers. Pretty soon, they kind of collapsed.
Well, if you win a championship, you're pretty safe, though, aren't you? As far as being a coach, I mean,
yeah,
your job
yeah.
security is there. I won you a title, man. I got you a chip.
Ask Nick Nurse about that.
Oh,
And Budenholzer.
he doesn't have a job.
Yeah.
They don't have
Buden-
jobs. Those
and
guys.
Bogle.
Don't, all three of those guys don't have jobs.
Yeah, three of the
Last
They
four
won 3 of the
to
last
win,
4.
only one guy's still there.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you, I mean, obviously, your connection, you know what's going on with him.
He won't
And
get back
hey,
to you.
and
he's
they
he's ghosting you.
well, I mean, I'd say, the rumors are Bob Myers might be in a little trouble.
Well, that's been the talk for a
Either
while.
trouble
hasn't
or
it?
it might be a thing where
He
he's
just
like,
wants to go.
yeah, I've been doing this long enough.
Yeah,
So,
well, I mean,
yeah.
there again, I mean, he and Kerr have been terrific.
Oh, yes.
They
But as
won
you guys-
last year.
As you always say, Curry is probably going to go. Well, if Curry stays, I might go ahead and stay too, because this seems like not a bad situation, and you don't get that many Currys, and so I probably won't get a better, better situation than this. I might stick on until Steph takes off.
Yeah, well, I mean, Kerr would say that.
Yeah.
Now let me give you another little
You're not-
bit of reality. I don't think Myers gets to say that.
Okay.
I think I think they might tell him.
He's a pretty good stewardship of the
I
squad.
didn't say that.
I'm just saying.
I
He's got a
think
pretty good track record.
He's got a great track record, and he should have exactly the same kind of comfort zone as Kerr does, but he doesn't.
It looks like either he has decided that I'm good. I've done this long enough.
I understand
Or
that.
he has said that he wants to be one of the 2 highest paying GMs, and they don't want to do that. So
Okay.
it doesn't look like right now Bob Myers is like, uh-oh. It looks like he's pretty much made up his mind that unless they do this, I don't want to do this anymore, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So
But we talked about it before.
It
I
looks
think
like
if-
he is there. There's a lot of indications that he's ready to step away.
If I'm Kerr, I'm going to say, and I think you were talking about this before. If I'm Kerr, I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to stick with this team as long as we win the title. And the year that we lose, I'm going to sit out. That'll be my last year because he's accomplished so much. And like you said, last year was so unexpected. That's the one you go out on, but you can't go out after you win the title. So you go, look, I'll do next year, and if we don't win next year, then I'll step it down. And I can see him doing
If
that.
Bob Myers leaves, I think you could argue that at some point Kerr, they're not going to do anything right away, but he would be the next to go, and maybe he sees that and says, okay,
Sees
I'm
the
out
writing on
too.
the
And
wall.
then if they're out, maybe Draymond says, I don't want to opt in. So, I mean, the whole thing could kind of unravel
Little dominoes action
semi-naturally there. But again, they also could win tonight, and they could
Certainly
win
could.
on Mother's Day. Sleepy Floyd is Superman.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed. I think I was texting you as far as watching the Lakers win the fourth game.
Delete.
Yeah, I know. I know you didn't read it, but when they went up 3-1, all of a sudden, because I had picked the Lakers, all of a sudden I'm watching them at the end of that game 4, and they didn't seem like they knew what they were doing offensively, and they did pull the game out. I'm like, I think the Warriors can come all the way back and win 3.
Yeah, he's all over the place
now
on
with
this
Wiggins,
series.
though, the Wiggins injury,
Wiggins
that
thing,
really
yeah.
kind of throws everything. And of course, Davis, we don't know what Davis's status is for tonight, although everything that we're reading is he'll be available. So we don't know, but
How are you on making fun of Davis for going to the locker room in the wheelchair?
I'm not going to make fun of him at all because concussions are real things, and he definitely could have. The way that he was
said
hit,
he's fine, no concussion.
No, I know, but I'm just saying at the time, a little bit wobbly after. Yeah, I'm totally erring on the side of caution. The wheelchair may be extra, but he's a big guy, and it takes a lot of people to get him back to the back. It's easier to put him in a wheelchair. I just hope he can play tonight because I want everybody on the court.
Well, I was so offended by Barkley and Shaq that I just cackled right along with them. I mean, I'm ashamed of myself, but they were funny, you know.
I mean,
They
it'd be
were
one
funny.
thing if
Go
like
back
you
to-
or I made fun of Anthony Davis, but for those guys, it's like,
Yeah.
rightly or wrongly, it does
Yeah,
carry a little more weight.
and
right?
poor Ernie Johnson knew that what they're doing was completely wrong. It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah.
But
he-
it's funny. But it was funny.
And he also knew they could get away with it.
Yeah.
There's no way that,
Charles Barkley, come on,
Charles
Shaq.
Barkley and Shaq, they get away with it. They have things in their past you could put
Ernie
fun
couldn't.
at.
Ernie couldn't get away with
Right.
it. They would
Ernie
fi-
probably could at this point.
No,
Ernie probably
they'd
could.
have fired him the next day.
Yeah.
Ernie owns that place.
But it's so funny that the league has protocol rules. If someone's diagnosed with a concussion, then they got a clear protocol.
Right.
But if you don't diagose them with a concussion, we don't have to worry about the protocol.
So nobody
you got
tries
Anthony
to-
Davis gets elbowed in the temple and he can't see. He's like, he's fine. He's good. So I mean, I get it. It's just kind of, you can't help.
Yeah,
but
I
roll
heard
eyes
some
over it.
people too talking about which I thought was really terrible. How really. Was he even hit? It's like I saw Looney's. I mean, Looney.
Yeah, he was.
whammed
He
him.
was
I
Remember
mean,
what that
hit,
elbow
yeah.
did to Sabonis?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, come on here. This guy's a walking, talking danger
Yep.
post.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
They should have just benched. The Laker guy should have just benched Davis and LeBron in Game 5 anyway.
Yeah.
They were going to lose. I heard that. I heard that narrative, and
You heard that?
I was not a fan of that narrative. And they well, that proves it. Then that proves it. He got smacked in the head. That proves they should have just benched him.
Yeah.
I didn't go with it.
Well, you were saying that some people were complaining that Jokic was playing as much as he did last
yeah.
night.
Well, I was going to say that's why is he still in there when Monty had pulled his guys out? Well, he was for a minute or so, and I mean. And the reason he's in there, very simple. Mike Malone wanted him in there.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
the coach.
I think Malone told him to get out, and he couldn't hear him
Couldn't hear him.
because Malone's voice is gone. So he stayed in there for another minute or two.
Michael Malone is probably safe now. I think we all are fans now that they
Well,
advanced
I
to the
would
conference
think so.
finals.
Yeah, I
the
would
number
think.
one seed made it to the conference final. He's probably safe. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, unless he wins the championship, then he'll only be safe.
Yeah,
for
then he's
another,
got
right.
a
Then you'll have
expiration date. Yeah,
has a 2-year pass. That's
2025. He's
You know
out
what I
by
loved
then.
about the Nuggets last night? They're up 25 to 30 in the second half, and they weren't, slowing it down. They were attacking the whole way because I think they knew that these guys can't guard us. But I love that. Even with the big lead, it's not that they were pouring it on. They were just trying to – that gave them their best chance to win. We've talked about how teams get a big lead and they start slowing things down, and then the game turns the other way, and Denver was not going to let that happen.
did
No,
that
they
a
were
little
so
bit.
aggressive, and I think the key thing going forward for Denver is getting this time off to where Mike Malone can actually get so he can talk again.
Yeah.
His voice is just about a goner.
Yeah.
Well, at the beginning of the second half, it was 30 going into the third quarter, and they were playing poorly right at the thing, and he just ran off the bench, ran onto the middle of the floor,
Yeah.
and said, "This is not going to happen."
Yeah.
So they did do that for just about 3 minutes, and he
Well,
said,
they didn't play well, but I still don't think they
took
really
a couple
slowed
of
it down.
They took a couple of weird shots,
Yeah.
and then they allowed that long
Yeah.
pass and everything.
Yeah.
And he runs out on the court and just,
Yeah.
this is not going to happen. And yeah, to their credit, after that, they did not do that anymore. They just kind of let up a little bit, I think, and he was not having that.
He's a coach. I mean, that's all there is to it. He's a truth teller, as they say.
They guard people. To me, it's like, is a guy a good coach? Well, does his team play defense? If the answer is yes, he's a good coach. Now, that doesn't mean you're a bad coach if your team doesn't play defense like Mike Brown. But to me, he's a good coach. They just don't guard people. But to me, if your team defends, that's to me is an indication that's a good coach. Right
That's a
there.
good coach.
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe I'm giving too much credit. Maybe it has more to do with the players. But
Well, I mean, he's a good coach. If you didn't have Jokic and you didn't have Murray, they wouldn't win very much. But he'd still be a good coach.
Yeah, give the players a lot.
I
of
mean, he
credit.
wouldn't give
how
me.
did he do when he was here, Jer?
I thought he was an excellent coach.
Yeah.
Excellent. And he didn't stay here long, did he?
Not too long. No.
Yeah, he got fired at the beginning of the season. Yeah, but I mean, give the players credit because they have Jokic and they figured out this is the guy. He runs the show. We're going to have to play around him, and they're very content to do that. I mean, look at Gordon. Look at how many easy looks he gets, and Porter gets easy looks too because they let him be the center and they play around him perfectly.
Well, I think a lot of that is, it's like with the Kings, it's kind of a lesser version. But, I mean, one of the reasons that the Kings are so unselfish, like the Nuggets are, they're so unselfish. Well, your key guy running your team is totally unselfish. It's pretty hard for everybody else. It's like, they're moving the ball to get me a shot. Well, I'll move the ball to get them a shot, that type thing. And I think it just carries over, and I think you've seen that for years with good passing teams, unselfish teams.
Well, you were friends with Coach Carrill, and he said if you can pass, you can play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, he also said if you come from a house with 3-car garage, I don't want to recruit you.
I don't think he had that problem too often.
He also never changed the oil in his car, did he?
He was truly the absent-minded professor. It's like he said, "Oh, there's a car. I'll drive it till it won't drive."
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? He truly. It was like he's like maybe Einstein thinking of
Walking in the
theory
snow
of
with no shoes on,
relativity about basketball. The
But the oil
theory
in
of
my car,
everything.
Be
Yeah.
bothered with
he
trivial
couldn't be
matters.
bothered with things
Yeah.
like like cars, and
Yeah.
putting gas in them and stuff.
I'm like that. I just don't have anything that I'm a genius at, like he was. I mean, I'm the guy who won't do anything right.
Well,
but I don't have any offsetting factor that. Oh yeah, it's okay because he's this. No, I got nothing.
Well, we don't see it necessary for you to admit to that.
Well, thanks, Jerry.
We,
I was just trying to jump up the numbers here.
I was
So,
pretty well aware, weren't you?
Yeah.
That's yeah.
You already knew that? Is that evident? Huh? Wow.
You don't need to be so self-deprecating.
I thought
No,
I was. I
no.
thought I was. Yeah. Well, I'm not Paul Pierce over here. Come on.
Yeah, there may have been somebody that
There may be somebody out there amongst those.
Mrs. Phantom. Do you think she
No,
probably?
she's been on the thing for a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
She kind of
You
points
kinda-
that out to me.
Yeah,
Jerry.
kinda,
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
Well, let's wrap it up this way. We got these, red, white, and blue balls there.
Yep.
We got the Denver Nuggets, and they're advancing to the conference finals. Tomorrow, as we're gathered here, it's May 12th, right? May 13th,
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
1976 was the last playoff game in ABA history. The Nets beat the Nuggets for the last ABA championship. And there's 4 teams, ABA teams, that went to the NBA. You got the Nets, you got the Pacers, you got the Spurs, and you got the Nuggets. Of those 4, the only one that's never been to the NBA Finals is the Denver Nuggets. And I think this is the year. Don't you think?
I sure hope so. I really, I'm a Nuggets fan. I want to see them get there, and they're good enough to win it. Like I say, this year, I still think it is a true statement to say out of the 16 playoff teams or whatever, there's probably 12 that actually could, with the right health and breaks, could win it because there's just no super team. But I think Denver probably is the best team.
Even though they got that Shlomo in there?
Shlomo.
You know,
is-
actually, that's exactly why they're the best.
by the way, Shlomo doesn't change his oil either. Which team would you rather see them play from a entertainment standpoint, Lakers or Warriors?
Oh, Warriors, because I hate the Lakers.
Well, there's that too. I was trying to get around that.
That was
You
an
know,
easy
maybe the
one.
Davis Shlomo matchup
Yeah,
would be
yeah.
good, but no,
I'm
I
I'm
couldn't
getting
get
tired.
past.
I'm getting tired of the Warriors too, but I detest the Lakers.
Yeah,
so let's get that clear.
I can take the Warriors more than I can take the
Yes,
Lakers. They're the
absolutely.
Lakers. For crying
They're
out
the
loud.
Lakers
Yeah,
for
you guys are
crying
the
out
Lakers.
loud.
I just like, again, if it came to that, the contrasting styles, which we have in the Lakers series too. You got the small team going small, shooting threes against a team with the big guy. So that'd be very entertaining.
Yeah, it really would. And,
Yeah.
and of course, I just love watching Curry. I mean, with his great skill, I don't need to see all of his antics, but I think he thinks he's doing a commercial on the floor sometime, but
He probably is. Yeah.
probably
I
is.
would-
Might be able to.
Hey, you need another revenue stream? That's fine with me,
but,
Jerry.
I mean, marvelous player.
He doesn't shoot well at what used to be Staples and as the Crypt.
The Crypt.
Is that a thing ever with guys? You look at his numbers and his 3-point shooting in that building, it's not as good as anywhere else. Can that, in your experience, is that ever a building being a thing with the way a guy shoots the ball?
Well, I think it can be because there's not a lot of differences in background and sites, in the NBA because all buildings are great buildings. But I mean, there's some like the Crypt or whatever you
Yeah,
want to call
yeah.
it now. I mean, their end zones are so.
And don't they turn the lights off all the way except for on the court?
No, that used to be the Forum.
was
did
the
that.
Forum did
The
that. Yeah, it
Forum
was
did
always
that,
weird
and
watching it.
there was a few other places that did that because they didn't want you to see empty seats up there. It wasn't the Forum.
No,
Yeah.
not the
Miami did that too, but they don't. I don't think anybody does it now. But I do think if it has anything, it's the background.
Uh-huh.
It's like for a high school kid would tell you go into regular high school gym and then you play in an arena.
It's way different.
It's so hard to pick up the rim. You know? And so
Did you have a problem with that when you shot free throws at a Kings
Yes,
game?
I did. I airballed the first one because I thought I shot at 15 feet and it was only 12.
only
Is
12?
that for
Because
free
there was
tacos
a
or something?
lot of
or-
space. Well, yeah, but I came back and eventually made it, and then made a layup and got the tacos. So
You
but
made a
the
layup?
first one, my first free throw, I shot it just like usual, and I hit the front of the net there. You don't want to do that. So the next one,
Which building
I
was
just
this?
Shot,
I'm
this was
sorry.
the first one.
Oh, the
This
first
was the
Arco.
first. This is 10-3-33.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And I got the crowd was against me a little bit. They were a little against me, Gary. As you know, great crowd, but if you didn't perform as a fan, you really got in trouble.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, and there was a lot of.
you didn't. I know you would everything to egg them on or anything.
No, I did not turn. I didn't double bird them more than once or twice. No, yeah, it's true. But I wanted. We had for the Lakers, we've had the Russell game, we've had the Lonnie Walker game. So Game 6, they're at home. Somebody's going to emerge if they're going to win it. Whose game is it going to be?
That's a great question. I mean,
It's not that good.
no, it isn't really, is it? I mean,
I thought it was excellent. And by the way, you already said it was good, so you can't back up.
I just think that the Lakers need to find ways to get Hachimura involved a little more
know.
because he makes shots all the time. So get him more shots.
Yeah.
That's a great answer.
That is a great answer.
Yeah,
isn't
it is a great answer. It's not that great question.
No.
So really, it's
Mediocre question.
Better answer, not so good question.
No,
That's
fine
what
question.
That's what I do, Whitey.
Yes,
That's
that's
the new
what we
name
do.
of the podcast.
We'll
Great
do it
answer,
again.
Bad question.
Do you want to do it again Monday? You want to do it again
What's
Monday?
today, Friday?
Today is Friday.
Okay, let's do
Yeah.
Monday.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, we get that enough rest because I've
Yeah, we gotta
got
get
to
a rest.
because
Gotta
we want to
manage.
be sharp.
And this is at altitude.
Yeah.
At Stone's.
I got to manage
Yeah.
my load. I don't know about you guys. Yeah.
And that's it for today.
I've got one needs to be managed.
We'll see you next time. The old-fashioned 3.
Thank you for joining the Old Fashioned 3 on Stones Radio Networks. To stay updated on the show, like and subscribe on YouTube, and all shows are available for download on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, and of course at stonesradionetworks.com. Follow the show and the gents on Twitter at OL, Fashioned, and the number 3, at Phantom Radio 60, and at Whitey Gleason. This has been a production of Stones Radio Networks.